Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee for today, August 23rd. We've been joined by a quorum of the committee, including council members Cano, Quincy, Fry, and Warsami. We have a relatively short agenda today, including a consent agenda of items 7, 8, and 9. This is the regular licenses and consumer services agenda, a change in the director's fee schedule with regard to gas burning permits that's also in Ways and Means, and the staff recommendation with regard to the City of Minneapolis partnership for applications for the National Endowment for the Arts, Our Town program. And then I'll also move the receive and file item, which is the annual tax income report. Is there anything anyone would like to pull items 7, 8, 9, or 10 for discussion? Seeing none on that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Then we'll move on to our public hearing agenda, starting with item number 1, which is the HUD Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, which is the CAPER report. We'll take a staff recommendation and then open it for a public hearing. Mr. Bauer, welcome.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Matt Bauer, Grants and Special Projects. The public hearing is for the city's performance of the 2015 funding provided by HUD through the consolidated plan that consists of community development block grant funds, home investment partnerships, housing opportunities for persons with AIDS, and emergency solutions grants. These funds provide for housing and public service in the area of community development block grants. Home provides for rehab, but new construction of affordable housing. Emergency solutions grant, we provide to rehab of emergency shelters in the community, as well as tenant-based rental assistance for rapidly rehousing homeless residents. And the housing opportunities for persons with AIDS is funding we use on behalf of the metropolitan area, again, for tenant-based rental assistance for persons and families with HIV or AIDS diagnosis. And we'll include any comments received at the public hearing or also received during the comment period for the final report to go to HUD on next Monday, the 29th.
Are there any questions for Mr. Bauer on item number 1? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 1 and invite people to come up and testify. I have Ms. Pass scheduled or signed up in advance, and I'd invite you up to speak. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Carol Pass, and my address is 2536 18th Avenue South. I'm the chair of East Phillips neighborhood. And I was told that this can't happen, but I'm going to raise the issue anyway because we should reflect on this. I wanted to request that the city use some of the CDBG money, the City Development Block Grant funding, for food and entertainment for the lowest income neighborhoods where we can't get donated money. It usually comes in quarters and nickels and dimes. And so we can't use that unless some of us that actually have jobs fund these things. They don't get funded at all. And we believe that this is a request. It's a public service. We're requesting you to help us with our public service to the city of community engagement with these poor communities, because they don't even recognize that you're having a meeting unless you can provide something for them. Our new populations are very much like that. And we would like to be able to carry out our public service to the city of engaging these people and informing them of things that are happening and finding out what they want to have done, and et cetera, by having these meetings. It's very difficult when we don't have any money. We don't, this is very hard. This is a small amount of money. It's hard to raise. And we can't put them in our CDB grants, and our, CPP and NRP dollars are not to be used for that. And we're trying to figure out a way to get some help with this so we can do a better job at serving the city in our public service to them. So I'm asking you to, if this can't be used for that purpose, and apparently taxpayers think they shouldn't do this, I would claim that a larger understanding of public service, this is as in some ways as needful as the police force and et cetera, because we are in the communities that have a lot of trouble that is very expensive to deal with. And if we can deal with our populations better, we will save the city a lot of money, taxpayers' money from more expensive neighborhoods with less difficulties. And so I'm asking you to consider that. We have the ratio of children to adults here is very out of whack, so it's very hard to get volunteers to do things. And so we are really struggling, and we want to help with the crime and all of the difficulties. And without help from the city in these ways, it's very hard for us. So put on your thinking caps and come up with something if you can't fund this anyway. I'm serious. Think about it. or we should ask all the wealthy neighborhoods to kick in so we can reduce the crime in the poor neighborhoods that are finally reaching the more expensive neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move forward item number 1 for approval.
Item number 1 has been moved. This
Submittal.
is directing staff to include any comments, including the ones we just heard, into the 2015 CAPER report to be submitted to HUD early next week. Further comments or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. Thank you for coming down today, Ms. Pass. We'll move on to item number 2, which is a land sale at 2008 Washington Street Northeast. Mr. Pettiford, welcome.
Chair, committee members. 2008 Washington Street, Northeast. We received a proposal from Timothy Zerby to build a 1,700 square foot, 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, single-family home with a 2-car detached garage. It's a 55 by 100 parcel that was acquired October 31st of 2008 at the request of the neighborhood organization, and the vacant building was demolished. The site then was placed on the lot list and emailed out to over 750 developers. This is the only offer received for the property. The offer was evaluated based on the criteria stated in the Vacant Housing Recycling Program Manual. The developer will be the owner-occupant of this completed home. The Holland Neighborhood Improvement Association reviewed the proposal and recommended it, as does staff.
Are there any questions for Mr. Pettiford on item number 2? Seeing none, thank you for your report. We'll open the public hearing on item number 2, which is a land sale at 2008 Washington Street Northeast. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of item number 2, the land sale.
Item number 2 has been moved. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. On to item number 3, Mr. Pettiford.
Madam Chair, item number 3 is about 2632 Polk Street Northeast. It is a sizable parcel acquired in December of 2014 from Hennepin County for $1. Again, the vacant parcel was advertised on the city's website and through email notification to a list of over 750 developers and homeowners. 3 offers were received for this property. The offers, again, were evaluated based on the criteria in the Vacant Housing Recycling Program Manual. The 3 proposals are quality designs, fit well into the neighborhood. Daniel Stephen Granis and Michelle Elizabeth Spivey proposed to build a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, single-family home with a 2-car detached garage, which they plan to owner-occupied. Twin Cities Builders and Maintenance LLC proposes to build a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, single-family with a 2-car detached garage and offer to offer the property for sale to an owner-occupant buyer. Accent Homes also proposes to build a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-family home with a 2-car detached garage and proposes to offer the property for an owner-occupant buyer. Notification was provided to Audubon Park neighborhood. The neighborhood reviewed the proposals and recommended the proposal of Daniel Granis and Michelle Spivey as they are proposing to own and occupy the developed property. Staff concurs in the neighborhood's position and further recommends that if Granis and Spivey fail to close, that the council approve Twin Cities Builders and Maintenance for purchase of the property. All offerers offered the full fair market value of $37,200.
Are there any questions for Mr. Pettiford on item number 3? Seeing none, thank you for your report. We'll open up the public hearing on item number 3, which is a land sale at 2632 Polk Street Northeast. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of this item.
Item number 3 has been moved for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll then move on to our final land sale, which is item number 4. Mr. Pettiford.
Madam Chair, this is a proposed sale to MSP Enterprises of a parcel at 4611 Colfax. They are proposing to build a 1,064 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-family home with a 2-car detached garage. The lot size here is 40 by 126. It's a standard size parcel. Again, the availability of this property was announced through our email lot list and email notification over 750 developers and potential home buyers. This is the only offer received for this property. Again, the offer was evaluated based on the criteria in the vacant housing recycling program. And this is in Moline Bohannon neighborhood. They wholeheartedly endorse the proposal. This will be, I think, the 4th property that they are developing in this neighborhood. And I attended the meeting, and they were encouraging them to get started as quickly as possible. So the neighborhood is recommending this as a staff. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for Mr. Pettiford on item number 4? God bless you. Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 4, which is a land sale at 4611 Colfax Avenue North. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of this item.
Item number 4 has been moved for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to our licenses agenda, starting with item number 5, Mr. Wilson.
Madam Chair, thank you. We have an application by Blarney 2 Inc., doing business as Blarney Pub and Grill for their second location in Minneapolis at 903 Washington Avenue South. They're seeking an on-sale liquor license Class C2 with Sunday sales. This is the site of the Wasabi Restaurant. Was at this location. They had an on-sale license, liquor license Class E. This is in the downtown east neighborhood in the 3rd Ward. Capacity seating of this establishment is 102 inside and currently none outside. They intend to have operating hours of 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. daily, 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. on Sundays as well. Sole owner is Michael Maroney. He's 100% owner, and he also owns the Blarneys in Dinkytown. He has operated the Blarney Pub and Grill in Dinkytown since 2004. This will operate as a full-service food and beverage establishment. Because of the upgrade in license from Class E to C2, a public hearing is required today. We did notify all residents and property owners within 400 feet of this premise. We also notified the Minneapolis, Downtown Minneapolis Neighborhood Association and East Downtown Council and the Warehouse District Business Association of today's public hearing. As of today, we've received no responses for or against this application. Staff finds that this application meets all of our requirements and are recommending that you approve the license.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 5? Seeing none, thank you for your report. We'll open the public hearing on item number 5, which is a new business license for Blarney's Pub at 903 Washington Avenue South. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Are you Mr. Mulrooney? Come on up and say something. You can't put a menu on here like you did, not comment. Chorizo, poutine, blackberry burgers, garlic, bacon, Gruyere. It sounds really good.
Well, then I will fully expect to see you there. Yes, like Mr. Wilson said, it's a neighborhood pub and grill is what we're going for in the area. I think it'll be a real good addition to the area with all the residential and business.
Well, thank you for operating a great establishment and for doing this. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to move approval.
Let's see if there's
but
anyone
I was
else
gonna
here.
see-
But you want to say great things about Mr. Mulrooney, which we all do. Thank you for your testimony. Is there
Thank you.
anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I happily move approval. Mr. Mulrooney has run an outstanding business in Dinkytown. I have no doubt it'll be a similar outcome in downtown East. Really looking forward to it.
On the motion to approve the staff recommendation, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved. Thank you very much for opening a new restaurant downtown. We'll be coming in for the poutine. We'll move on to item number 6, which is our quasi-judicial public hearing, and I'll turn the chair over to Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have one item on the agenda for today, which is rental dwelling license denial at 5420 44th Avenue South. The owner is Margots Kapocs. And here to present today is Nick Magrino.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Vice Chair and committee members. My name is Nick Magrino. I'm here from Regulatory Services. We are here on a rental license denial of application. The property involved in this action is 5420 44th Avenue South, a single unit property. The respondent in this matter, Margots Kapocs, is the owner of record and applied for a license to operate the property as a rental dwelling in January 2016. March 30th, 2016, the license application was returned to Mr. Kapocs due to the requirements of Minneapolis Code of Ordinances 244-1910, our licensing standards, and specifically Licensing Standard 13, which states that any person who has had an interest in a license revoked pursuant to this article shall be ineligible from obtaining any new rental license for a period of 3 years. Mr. Kapocs went through that previous license revocation process last year for a property he owns at 3324 23rd Avenue South. A little background about that property. On January 5th, 2015, a notice of revocation of rental license was issued for the license Mr. Kapocs held for that property for violation of MCO 244-1910-8, which is failure to allow required inspections. Mr. Kapocs appealed the notice, and that appeal was scheduled for an evidentiary hearing on April 21st, 2015, and the administrative hearing officer recommended revocation of the license. And that license was revoked by the City Council on May 15th, 2015. Mr. Kapocs appealed the decision to the Minnesota Court of Appeals on September 21st, 2015, and the appeal was dismissed by the court on October 20th, 2015. So for this property, a notice of denial of rental license for 5420 44th Avenue South was sent to Mr. Kapocs on April 28th, 2016, which he then appealed on May 11th, 2016. The appeal was heard at an evidentiary hearing on June 29th, 2016, and the administrative hearing officer recommended denial of the rental license application. So the city is requesting revocation or denial of the application for the license. And at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Magrino. Do we have any questions for staff at this time? Seeing none, thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite either the owner and or the owner's representative up here to speak. The testimony that we will be hearing today is only to clarify facts that have already been presented before evidence at the hearing, and so we are not able to hear and you are not able to present any additional facts. It's only a matter of clarification. Based on your testimony and or what you say today and that alone, we will then be able to make a decision.
Thank you. Thank
If
you
you
also.
want, please state your name and your address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Margots Kapocs, and I'm the owner of the two properties, 3324 23rd Avenue South and 5420 44th Avenue South. I'd like to start to correct the record that clarify that the initial cause for revoking my rental license was is allegation that states that I haven't complied with the city's requirement to accommodate the inspection 2 times. I'd like to point out 3 facts. First of all, this original cause for non-compliance I had no ability, I haven't been able to be heard and defend and contest the facts that the city is alleging to. However, my constitutional right is of due process, and the equal protection of law guarantees me such right to be able to be here, defend, and contest the facts of the allegation. The fact, too, is no any court or any third party has ever been able to review such allegation. City mentioned that the Minnesota Court of Appeals dismissed my appeal. That is true. However, they dismissed because they didn't have a jurisdiction due to filing it untimely. So they didn't have a chance to look into the facts and review it. The current lawsuit against the regular cities in Hennepin Court is still pending. The fact 3, the regular services allegations of my compliance are clearly erroneous, in error. The address that the regulatory service claims mailed the notices for inspection is a non-existent address. Furthermore, the regular services received return mail for one of the said notices on November 12, 2014, as demonstrated on their own records.
Sorry, Mr. Kapocs, you said there was a non-existent address?
That is correct.
Which address was non-existent?
5420 44th Avenue South. That is where they mailed the address. However,
Mr. Kapocs, is that the address that you initially gave them? When
Correct.
You signed up your regular
Yes,
rental
but however,
license if you would just let me finish.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Was that the address that you initially gave to city staff when you filled out your rental application?
That was updated address, and
Okay.
but however,
Was that the address that you gave to city staff when you updated your
I
license?
gave correct address. However, it was entered with the wrong zip code. It was entered 55407 when it should be 55417. So making the address non-existent. And that's why the city received the return mail on November 12, 2014. Yes, I provided updated address. However, it was entered with one little error on a zip code, but it's 55407 when it should be 55417. As demonstrated, this undisputed evidence of non-existent address in returned mail, it is clear that regular service erred with the non-compliance that has, and they have unlawfully revoked the rental license. It is just a matter of time for the court to publicly find such finding. This property that we talk about today, 5420 44th Avenue South, qualifies for a provisional rental license. It complies with all of the minimum standards set forth by Section 244.1855 and 244.1890, as it's stated in the Minnesota Ordinance of Provisional Rental License number 2441850. So I'm asking this city council not to rush to revoke another rental license based on the same erroneous cause that is clearly a void in the law without any legal force. It is best interest of the public and the taxpayers' money to allow the provisional rental license on this property until the court issues a final decision on this matter, because A, the regulatory service will have to pay for all the wrongs that it caused due to its negligence and arbitrary capricious actions in this case. By revoking another rental license, the amount to pay for the redress of wrong will be significant for the taxpayers. With the missed rental income, I'm not able to support my children, as well pay the loans that I voluntarily undertook to fix up and make these properties good and safe condition in this city. I like to point out that these properties were in a bad shape. No one really wanted them. It was a lot of money put in to fix them up. And I took that with belief that I will be able to rent them, to pay those payments. And the third is There is no harm for the public to have a temporary provisional rental license on this property. For the said reasons, I hope the City Council will act in the best interest of the taxpayers and prevent this becoming even a bigger issue than it already has gone. Is there any questions that I can answer?
No, thank you, Mr. Kapocs. I appreciate it. Mr. Magrino, just a couple of quick questions. So what were the primary findings of fault for this matter?
So in this case, Mr. Kapocs isn't able to apply for a new rental license because there's been an existing revocation in the past 3 years. So there's not really a specific issue with the property. It's just that he's had that license revoked in the past.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so there's the dispute really has nothing at all to do with the previous violations. It simply has to do with the revocation that took place within the previous 3-year period.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. So I will close the hearing. And you know, this case is relatively cut and dry, and from a legal standpoint, there's really nothing that we can do given that the revocation occurred within the prior 3-year time period. Does anybody else have any questions for staff and/or comment on the topic? So I'll move approval of the staff direction for non-renewal. Any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Councilmember Fry. We'll move on then to our discussion items, starting with item number 11, which is the Downtown Public Realm Framework Plan. Ms. Shelby, welcome. You have 10 minutes.
Sorry, the screen is not coming on. Is there anyone who knows how to make the screen go on? I apologize. The screen is not on. It's just totally dark.
Well, we operated for years and years and years with no AV, so you could just give the presentation.
Okay, I could do that. Yeah, sorry. Is this a USB accessible one? No?
There's might be someone coming from the. We also have a hard copy.
Copy of the presentation?
No, a copy of the plan. They're coming. It's all right. Our good AV folks are coming.
Thank you. Should be fine. Okay. So maybe I can begin and we can all plug this in and have it live, because it still needs to boot up. So I'll begin and appreciate the time today to present on behalf of our team, which includes notably Lacey Shelby from CPED, as well as Public Works, and Jenny Hager was a big part of this. She couldn't be here today, but this will be going to TNPW on the next cycle as well. So just to begin, I'll get ahead a little bit of the slides, but the Downtown Public Realm Framework is actually part of a joint initiative of the City of Minneapolis and the Minneapolis Park Board. The joint initiative is called Pathways to Places, and it really is a holistic plan for downtown public realm, including parks, trails, streets, and places. The Public Realm Framework is a thematic plan. It covers 14 neighborhoods, and it establishes a policy framework for connectivity and character on downtown streets. It actually has a slightly different boundary than the Downtown Service Area Master Plan, which is the Park Board's plan, and you'll see a slide depicting the actual physical area of the plan in a moment. The two plans shared a steering committee and a technical advisory committee, enabling the goals and vision for parks and streets to be shaped in concert with one another. Our steering committee also served as the Park Board's Citizen Advisory Committee and included all of the neighborhoods downtown that were impacted, city council ward representation, as well as public schools and the Warehouse District Business Association, also Minneapolis Downtown Council. Our technical advisory committee also had broad constituencies represented, including neighborhoods, the business community, system partners like Metro Transit, heritage preservation folks, sports interests, arts, riverfront folks, and so on. A significant list, which you'll see on a slide in a moment. We undertook a significant community engagement process for the plan. We had 27 joint and individual events. We participated in a Map It online engagement tool with the Park Board, and we also engaged an artist to do one-on-one interviews. And those interviews, thank you, Lacey. So just wanted to back up one to the committee representation and also to show you the boundary of the plan. So here you see the boundary extends beyond the traditional boundary of downtown and really goes across the river and across the freeway belt. The Minneapolis city plan has this broader boundary, whereas the Park Board plan really looks exclusively at downtown from the river to the freeways. And that's because our plan was really concerned with connectivity and streets. So as I was saying about community engagement, we also had these individual interviews that took place all around downtown with Stephanie Glaros, who is the artist who does Humans of Minneapolis, and you can find them on the city's website. So last slide on the joint initiative. Because the city and Park Board have unique and separate authorities, these two plans are coordinated but separate. There are two distinct paths to approval and two distinct plans for implementation. So moving to specifically the Downtown Public Realm Framework, it is supplemental to and consistent with corridor guidance provided in Access Minneapolis, our 10-year transportation plan, as well as the city's Complete Streets policy, and was shaped in collaboration with Minneapolis Public Works. In Access Minneapolis, all downtown streets are considered activity streets. The Downtown Public Realm Framework provides one more layer of guidance, prioritizing some streets as destination corridors, some as local commerce corridors or connector corridors. And I'll walk through those very briefly in a moment. But first, just give you a sense of the overall picture of what is in the policy document. There are policy principles, including whole systems planning, and there's also a focus on people, a people-first policy. Following that, there is the physical framework, which is a map. It identifies our corridor typologies, potential linkages to achieve connectivity, and guidance for the Central Riverfront District. And finally, there's a goal of incremental implementation. In other words, this is not a capital plan. It's a plan that's intended to be implemented over time as opportunities arise. So moving to the framework itself, you see here the streets and connectivity guidance and district guidance depicted in the Public Realm Framework. Looking more closely, corridor by corridor type, destination corridors are here. And these are really the kinds of corridors that you imagine as a visitor or a resident you might end up on one day. If you're a visitor, you're going to go to a restaurant here. You're going to go to a show here. These are really the places where people go. In the document, we provide consideration for each corridor type about ground floor uses as well as design considerations. For instance, discouraging vehicular access on a destination corridor. Activity corridors, or excuse me, this should say local commerce corridors. That's a mistake. Local commerce corridors are a little bit like destination corridor light. These are still corridors where people gather and may be entertained or go to a cafe, but they might also have an urban grocery store or professional services. These are the kinds of corridors that are more of an activity area for residents, maybe less so for visitors. Connector corridors are really the connective tissue that connects people from each of those 14 neighborhoods to the destinations and activities downtown. And this was really a crucial piece of this in order to provide good connectivity for every neighborhood that is in and around downtown. At the moment, there are several neighborhoods that have been cut off and don't have good connectivity. So this plan identifies opportunities to create linkages there. Those linkages are depicted here and are defined in the document before you. Each one of those numbers, those red arrows or circles, identifies an opportunity to create a linkage at some point. And those linkages might be a street, it might be a vertical connection, it might be a trail, it might be a future opportunity to expand. And so they're identified here. Again, they are not pursued as capital projects, they're pursued incrementally as opportunities arise. And finally, one feature district is identified, the Riverfront District. And this district gets special attention because the river is our key asset downtown from a public realm point of view. And what we want to do is make sure that connections to the river are clear and present, and that we're really leveraging the river in terms of the uses abutting it and proximity to it for future development. This slide is really to talk through how complex our public realm is in terms of implementation. Each of those leaders shows you a different stakeholder who must act in order to achieve a whole public realm. It could be the park board who puts in the trees, Public Works who builds the street, it could be the Downtown Improvement District who assists with maintenance, it could be property owners greening in front of their property, or it could be a neighborhood. So all of these shared responsibilities require a shared vision, and that's really the goal of the plan. So last point, the Downtown Public Realm Framework is the lone policy document of a series of documents that were developed concurrently. The Public Realm Guidelines, which will come forward later and is really deeply connected to the work of Public Works. The Placemaking Hub, which is already online. The Downtown Minneapolis Programmable Space Inventory, which will be a great reference for future activation, and also an implementation index, both local and national strategies for implementing enhancements in the public realm. So these companion pieces will be a reference, but will not be adopted policy. And with that, I open it to questions and discussion, and I would invite questions or comments for myself and for Lacey. Since we had a small time, I presented for both of us, but I would like to acknowledge Lacey as a huge piece of the pie here.
Councilmember Frye.
Ms. Munson, thank you. I know you have committed a ton of time over the last 2 years to this project. I know that you've really built a strong coalition. I think you've built bridges between the city and the park board, and you've taken this whole planning process in many ways to a cross-jurisdictional level, which I don't think has often been done before. And it makes a really, really big difference. Ms. Shelby, thank you. I know that you've committed a ton of time too. And you know, the end result is something that I think the rest of the city should be very proud of. You know, to plan for the future in a way that is thoughtful, is concise, and that is emblematic of everything that we want to be is not easy. And you've done it. You know, whether it's these residential areas or planned out corridors or activity nodes and centers. I think as of right now, we've got a real thoughtful plan for the future of downtown. I mean, if anybody has actually read through this document, and I have, there's a lot of information here, a whole lot of information, and work and engagement went into this, and the end result's going to be impressive, and I think you'll be walking around downtown 15, 20 years from now, and you'll be seeing the fruits of a lot of your labor. So thank you.
Are there further questions for Ms. Munson or Ms. Shelby? Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. Ms. Munson, what's the process? This is an amendment to the existing comp plan. Does this process have to be approved by the Met Council as well? Or is it just going to be incorporated into our new comp plan?
Councilmember Goodman, Councilmember Quincy, sorry, Chair Goodman, Councilmember Quincy, I believe we will fold this into our comprehensive plan process, which is really what we're doing with anything that's an open process right now.
So is it really an amendment to the existing comp plan, or is it just a framework that you want to incorporate into a future plan?
That's an excellent point. I think that like other plans that went before it that were proposed as amendments to the comp plan, we will put it on hold pending the adoption of the new comprehensive plan.
Okay, thank you.
Further comments or questions? Okay, thank you for your report. I'm going to move approval of the staff recommendation with one amendment that's been passed out to everyone below. I can read it into the record. Goodman moves to amend the downtown public realm framework plan as follows. This has to do with the differentiation between Nicollet Mall from Washington Avenue to Grant Street, and then what I consider to be a community corridor from Grant Street to Highway 94. What it does essentially is changes the marcation from one level to another. So we would like this to be a local commerce corridor. I'll note there were previous drafts. I have one in front of me that listed this as a local commerce corridor, but that was changed apparently in the larger plan, and I am moving to change it back. So I am moving item number 1, Nicollet Mall, Washington Avenue to Grant Street to remain a destination corridor, and Nicollet Avenue south of Grant Street shall be designated as a local commerce corridor. And item 2, framework plan map, pages 48 and 49, changed from the destination corridor in the orange color to the local commerce corridor, which is the yellow gold color from Grant Street west to the south. And there are a number of 4 other places in the plan where it repeats this designation change to a local commerce corridor. This is to reflect the completely different nature of Nicollet Avenue and Nicollet Mall. Nicollet Mall clearly should be a destination corridor, but I'll note that local commerce corridors are noted as activity centers for residents and less so visitors. And that is how I and many residents view this part of South Nicollet Mall, where Market Barbecue is, where Ping's is, where Salsa a la Salsa is, and the Nicollet Diner. These are all places for residents. And I have a fear, quite frankly, that noting this is a destination corridor, we will see more wholesale demolition of those blocks for a Super 8 motel that is more convention center serving than neighborhood serving. We are already seeing some of that now, and people don't like it. And so I want to make sure that we are clear that this is a neighborhood serving corridor. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean it has to look like hell. It's clearly, these property owners could fix up this property. They're not doing it because they think we're going to upzone them so they can demolish the property. And I am trying to prevent that. So my amendment is in writing. It's quite detailed. It goes into every map on every page in the entire document to assure that we don't leave any stone unturned. It's in writing in front of you. So I am first going to move my amendment to the staff recommendation. Are there further comments or questions about my amendment? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That amendment has now been added to the staff recommendation. I will move the staff recommendation unless there are other amendments anyone would like to bring. Seeing none on the main motion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved, and then I'll expect that when I show up in zoning and planning, this will be incorporated into the plan, or I'll bring this amendment again. And I'll show up at TMPW to do it again if I have to.
It will be done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for all your work on this. I'm sure most of us will get to hear it yet again in another committee before it moves to the council. We'll then move on to our last remaining item, which is item number 12. Are you Scott?
Guilty as charged.
Wow. So the reason I say that is because we get a lot of email from Scott, because he's the one who sends out information about brownfield applications,
Various RFPs.
all the various different applications, and I've never, I don't believe, met him in person. Wow, they're going to let you give a report out loud, huh?
Well, we'll see if they let me do it again after.
I really want to say it's fun to meet you, and really appreciate all of the great communication you do on getting this information out to the public. I read all of the notices that you send out, and they go out quite frequently, and when you get to know a name with a job without meeting the person, that really says they're doing a good job in communicating. So thank you very much for the
That's
work you
fantastic.
do.
Thank you. So good afternoon. My name is Scott Ehrenberg, and I am the city staff representing the Town Oaks Association Loan and Grant Restructure. The report's recommendation is for the city to authorize an 11-year maturity date extension with revised payment schedule to include potential forgiveness for up to 1/3 of the original balance of the NRP grant if Town Oaks Association is able to meet the repayment requirements of the proposed restructure. The restructure terms presented in the report reflect what was agreed upon between Field Regina Northrop Neighborhood Group and Town Oaks Association. Town Oaks is a homeowners association responsible for the operation and maintenance of the common property of Town Oaks Townhomes. The association is comprised of 112 residential units located at 4300 4th Avenue South in the Regina neighborhood of Ward 8. Pursuant to a loan and grant agreement dated May 2nd, 1997, the city of Minneapolis provided financial assistance to the association to pay for emergency repairs and upgrades to the association's water lines and meters. This assistance consisted of a $68,600 CDBG loan and $380,000 NRP grant. The CDBG loan was repaid in semi-annual installments between 1998 and 2003 as specified by the terms of the contract. The NRP grant was made available to the association through the Neighborhood Revitalization Program. It was subject to semi-annual payments of approximately $12,000 from 2005 to 2019. Additional contract provisions allowed payment forgiveness or deferral in the event the association was unable to make a payment. The association previously requested forgiveness of scheduled NRP grant payments occurring between 2005 and 2015, and the city had previously agreed to defer those payments up to this point. With a maturity date of 2019 looming, the association reached out to the neighborhood group and city staff to begin discussing restructuring options late 2015, as I recall, resulting in the terms reflected in the report as follows. Maturity date will be extended from 2019 to 2030. Town Oaks Association will deliver semi-annual payments of $12,771.93. In addition, for each payment made by the association, an additional $6,333.34 will be forgiven. Missed payments and corresponding forgiveness amounts will be repaid in full during the last 5 years of the extended loan period. Does the committee have any questions at this time?
I'm wondering if you know kind of what the value, would this be considered affordable ownership? Can you give me a sense of the value of these units? I just need to know in my own mind that we're not subsidizing market rate townhomes.
Sure. So I did look at some of the taxable values, and the properties that I sampled range from about $100,000 to $150,000. So I
Very
think my
affordable.
response would be that they are, appropriately modest townhomes.
Affordable home ownership. for the
I would
most part.
agree.
Okay. Other questions for Mr. Ehrenberg? Seeing none, I thank you for your report. I think it's important for us to hear about affordable home ownership opportunities and ways the city is intervening in addition to all of the multifamily rental that we have been working on. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I of course, represent part of these neighborhoods along with the Council Vice President Glidden. And I know that working with the Neighborhood Association is really important, and they've been great partners in housing, in their own housing program. So this is, as the chair mentioned, great to highlight this kind of work that these kind of special efforts and restructuring of loans deserve the scrutiny, so thank you for your work on this. And with that, I'd be happy to move approval of this item.
Approval of item number 12 has been moved. Are there further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Seeing no further business before us, we are adjourned.